General Grievous is one of the most famous characters in the prequel trilogy. His badass design and unique skill set make him stand out from many other Star Wars villains. Originally named Chimaean Jai Shilal, Grievous was a warlord on the planet Kali before he became a general in the Separatist army and a major player in the Clone Wars. Some characteristics of Grievous, as well as his role in the Clone Wars, varies somewhat between the Legends and Canon versions, so let's dive in and see what those differences are. I want to give a quick shout out to this commenter who suggested the idea for this video. If there are any characters or stories that you would like to see a Legends versus Canon comparison about, let me know in the comments. I also want to clarify that while the Clone Wars TV series does technically take place in both timelines, I'm only going to include it in the canon portion of the video to better highlight the differences between the two versions. In Legends, Grievous, called Shilal at the time, led the Kaleesh military against the Yamri, who invaded and devastated their homeworld. Shilal became close to another Kaleesh warrior, a woman named Ronderu Ij Kumar. When Kumar was killed by Yamri, Shilal changed his name to Grievous to always mourn what he had lost. In his desire for revenge, Grievous and his soldiers forced the Yamri from the planet, and he began to conquer worlds belonging to the Yamri. Grievous was only stopped in his conquest when the Yamri called on the Republic and the Jedi Knights for help. The Kaleesh were forced back to their homeworld, and many thousands starved and died in poverty because of fines and trade embargoes the Republic placed on the planet. The intergalactic banking clan came to Kali and offered to pay the planet's debt and help restore trade if in return Grievous would act as their enforcer. Grievous performed this duty effectively until he learned that the Yamri were desecrating Kaleesh burial grounds that their people held sacred. In a rage, Grievous left his duty to reignite the war with the Yamri. To bring Grievous's attention back to where they wanted it, the banking clan, along with Count Dooku, placed a bomb on Grievous's ship, mortally wounding him. Dooku saved him from the wreckage, and he was given a cybernetic body that would house his brain and other vital organs. Dooku convinced Grievous that it was the Republic and the Jedi who sabotaged his ship, and Grievous, in his rage, vowed to destroy them. Dooku also promoted Grievous from being an enforcer to being the supreme commander of the Separatist army, knowing that Grievous's ruthlessness combined with his new cybernetics would make him an effective general and powerful warrior during the conflict that would become the Clone Wars. Grievous was trained by Dooku in the use of a lightsaber, which his cybernetics assisted him in using. This would make Grievous a useful tool in fighting the Jedi who would lead the Republic's army during the war. Grievous, angry at the Jedi for the damage he had endured, was eager to use his new skills against them. Dooku introduced Grievous to his master, Darth Sidious, who agreed that Grievous would be a useful tool against the Republic. At the Battle of Geonosis, General Grievous protected the Separatist leadership and killed the Jedi and clone troopers who attempted to capture them. He left no survivors, so the Republic remained unaware of his existence. Grievous's first public appearance as the leader of the Separatist droid army was at the Battle of Hypori, where he single-handedly fought and defeated several Jedi Knights and Masters, killing Master Barrick, his Padawan Shaggy, and Tar Ser. He also left Kukruk, Shaak Ti, and Aayla Secura with serious injuries. A few months into the war, Dooku tested General Grievous by pitting him against fellow Separatist commanders Asajj Ventress and Durge, and when Grievous successfully defeated both of them, Dooku decided to keep Grievous in his position as Supreme Commander. Throughout the galactic conflict, Grievous continued to lead successful campaigns against the Republic, leaving many dead Jedi in his wake. During the Battle of Boz Pity, he held his own against Mace Windu and even killed Jedi Council member Adi Gallia. His most successful campaign was Operation Durge's Lance, where he and his army managed to forge a path to the core worlds by conquering planets along the Corellian trade spine. This set the stage for the Battle of Coruscant, where Grievous led a massive droid invasion of the Republic capital. During the invasion, his task was to kidnap Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, who, unbeknownst to Grievous, was Darth Sidious in disguise. He defeated Shaak Ti and killed several Jedi Masters who were sent to protect the Chancellor. As he escorted the captured Palpatine onto his ship, he was confronted by Mace Windu, who used the Force to crush the cybernetics in his chest. This caused Grievous great pain and left him with a cough and difficulty breathing. He, however, still managed to get away from Coruscant with Palpatine in his custody. Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi were called back to Coruscant to rescue the Chancellor. Once they boarded Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand, they reached Palpatine, who was being guarded by Count Dooku. Skywalker managed to kill Dooku and free the Chancellor, though they were captured again by General Grievous. Skywalker and Kenobi managed to free the three of them as Republic forces shot down the Invisible Hand. Grievous managed to escape, jettisoning all the escape pods, but the Jedi were able to return the Chancellor safely to Coruscant. Shortly after, it was discovered that Grievous was hiding on the planet Utapau, and Obi-Wan Kenobi was sent with his clone forces to defeat him. Grievous, now acting as Separatist head of state after Dooku's death, was ordered by Darth Sidious to send the Separatist leaders from Utapau to Mustafar. After sending them away, Grievous was confronted by Obi-Wan. After Obi-Wan quickly defeated his guards, Grievous engaged Kenobi himself, revealing his training in lightsaber combat by Count Dooku. After a long chase and a battle between the clone troopers and the droids, Obi-Wan managed to kill General Grievous with his own blaster. The Clone Wars would end shortly after this, when Palpatine gave the order for the clone troopers to kill their Jedi generals. Now let's move on to the canon version of General Grievous. Grievous's canon story begins the way his Legends story does, as a warlord on the planet Kali, fighting against the invading Yamri. He and his warriors experienced many victories against their enemies, and his desire for conquest expanded further. He and his soldiers conquered several worlds and nations during his time as a warlord, which gained him the notice of Count Dooku and his Sith master Darth Sidious. The Yamri eventually sought help from the Republic and the Jedi, and this intervention led to many of the Kalish people starving and dying. This spurred Grievous's hatred of the Republic and of the Jedi in particular. When Dooku approached Grievous with the opportunity to serve the Separatists, Grievous took great interest in the opportunity to kill Jedi. He chose to receive cybernetic enhancements to his body that would allow him to defeat the Jedi in combat. While these cybernetics greatly enhanced his strength, speed, and physical ability, they did greatly irritate his lungs, giving him a cough for the rest of his life. After becoming a cyborg, he was also personally trained in combat by Count Dooku, and he spent hours studying the Jedi's fighting techniques. Dooku made Grievous the supreme commander of the Separatist droid army. A few weeks into the war, Grievous began publicly leading campaigns against the Republic army. He saw many successes in the early months of the Clone Wars, where he killed many Jedi and collected their lightsabers for his own use. He became more and more obsessed with killing Jedi and conquering Republic worlds, caring little for the politics of the war. Despite his victories, Grievous had many failed campaigns throughout the war, in large part due to two thorns in his side named Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker. He fought in many duels with General Kenobi, leading to a personal vendetta against him that would go unresolved for years. One of these duels with Kenobi was fought aboard the Separatist superweapon, the Malevolence. This weapon was used by Grievous early on in the war to destroy Republic fleets with great success, but eventually the weapon was destroyed by Kenobi and Skywalker. After a series of defeats against the two Jedi, Dooku orchestrated a test to determine whether Grievous was still worthy of his position. He lured the Jedi Kit Fisto and Nadar Veb to Grievous's fortress, where Grievous had managed to kill the relatively inexperienced Veb as well as his clone troops. However, he failed to defeat Jedi Master Fisto. Dooku recognized his success in killing the Jedi Knight, but recognized that Grievous had much room for improvement. One of his largest and most crucial campaigns was the attack on the cloning facilities on the planet Kamino, which he led alongside Asajj Ventress. The Republic intercepted a transmission before they launched the attack, and as a result, Kenobi and Skywalker were able to prepare a strong defense, eventually forcing Grievous and Ventress to flee. After Asajj Ventress was betrayed by Dooku, she rejoined her Night Sister family, who became a threat to Count Dooku. Dooku sent Grievous to Dathomir to put an end to the Night Sisters, resulting in a bloody battle and near genocide of the witches. Ventress was one of the few who managed to escape. In the late stages of the war, Grievous had successful campaigns in the Outer Rim, including on the planets Florum and Harun Kal. This led to the Republic's Outer Rim sieges, where the Jedi led campaigns to eliminate Separatist strongholds in the Outer Rim, preventing them from being able to forge a path to attacking Coruscant. Despite these efforts, Darth Sidious provided Grievous with the hyperspace coordinates that would allow him and his armies to travel from the Outer Rim directly to the Republic capital on Coruscant. The rest of Grievous's story is much the same as it was in Legends, with him managing to capture Chancellor Palpatine during the attack on Coruscant, followed by his rescue by Kenobi and Skywalker. Following Dooku's death, Grievous was tracked to Utapau and met his death at the hands of his longtime rival, Obi-Wan Kenobi. While Grievous's story starts and ends the same way in both timelines, much of his characterization differs between the two versions. In Legends, he hated being a cyborg, only receiving his cybernetics out of necessity, while in canon he chose them, seeing them as upgrades that would make him a better warrior. While both versions see him as an effective military leader, he faced many more defeats in the canon version due to his constant run-ins with Obi-Wan and Anakin. This also led to more cowardly moments on his part, where he regularly chose to flee when his plans went south. Overall, I will say I prefer the Legends version. I feel this portrayal of Grievous was a much more formidable opponent to the Jedi and felt like a more serious threat. In canon, Grievous's constant fleeing takes away from his menacing presence. However, credit where credit is due, in my opinion the canon version, including his portrayal in the Clone Wars, does feel much more in line with the character we see in Revenge of the Sith. Which version of Grievous do you prefer? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. For another Legends vs. Canon comparison, check out this video here.
Run, Jedi, run. You have only prolonged the